points. The Nasdaq dropped 235. More at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Zen.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks fell on Wall Street as a strong year for the market looks set to end on a sour note. The S&P 500 closed 1.1% lower on the second to last day of 2024. The benchmark index still on track for its second straight yearly gain of more than 20%. The Dow gave back 1%, and the Nasdaq Composite lost 1.2%. Declines in big tech companies like Apple and Microsoft weighed on the market. Boeing fell after one of its jets skidded off a runway in South Korea, killing 179 of the 181 people aboard. The Dow was down 418 points to close at 42,573. The Nasdaq lost 235 to 19,486. The S&P 500 dropped 64 points to 5906. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Some clouds roll in overnight with a low temperature of 44. Tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds. We do have a 30% chance of a shower to go with a high temperature of 69 for New Year's Eve. For New Year's Day, it's Wednesday. It's a bright, sunshine-filled day to go along with a high temperature of 60. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody, and good to have you back with us here on Sports Talk on this Monday night, the last Monday night of Sports Talk in 2024. In fact, everything we do tonight and tomorrow night will be pretty much the last thing we do in 2024. The good thing is we're coming right back in 2025 to do it all again. Tonight, we do it once again from Orlando. Been here since a month ago, it seems like. No, we got down here, seems like a month ago. Got down here day
like
after Christmas. Today. Yeah, I'm telling you. And having a blast, having a really good time. It's a good bowl game, a fantastic location. I mean, really, I would decline, if I'm not playing in the playoffs, if I'm not going to a bowl in Tampa or Orlando or Miami, maybe Jacksonville, but not really Jacksonville. That's too much like South Georgia. Give me something from Orlando South or West, and I'll take it because the temperature has seldom dipped below 75 degrees since we've been here. We did have some rain yesterday. Tomorrow's forecast is good. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Could be a slight chance of some rain in certain parts of the day, but I don't think anything's going to affect the football game tomorrow between the Gamecocks and Illinois. So great place to have a bowl game. They're treating the teams well. They had a pep rally today downtown for both teams. Both teams had their own individual pep rallies, of course. Both teams had a chance today to walk through Camping World Stadium. I had the same chance before they did. I went through Camping World Stadium. They were putting the paint on the field, changing the paint from the previous game. Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium. It really is.
Yeah.
I remember when South Carolina first played in the Tangerine Bowl in 1975, they were renovating the place, and like it was all mud and construction stuff going on everywhere. It made for a very difficult experience. Plus, it rained, as I recall, 1975. In fact, almost every bowl game the Gamecocks played in, they got rained on that I can recall coming up. The 69 Peach Bowl, the 75 Tangerine Bowl, the 70, what year was it they played in Birmingham against Missouri? It poured down rain. It just seemed like every time the Gamecocks played in a bowl game, of course they lost their first 8, seems like every time they played in a bowl game they got rained on until they finally won one in 94 with Tannehill.
Or is it 95? It was
94, 95.
The old CarQuest Bowl, which I'm not even sure what that's matriculated into now. I still can't get used to ReliaQuest. Alabama and Michigan are playing in the Outback Bowl as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I think that was, you may be right. Maybe it was 94. For some reason, 95
I think it's 94. No, I think it's 94. I can look up in the notes, but who cares? The point is they won their first game. Tannehill was the quarterback. And then the Gamecocks, they've done fairly well in their bowl games since that 0-8 start. They are they're 10-7.
95.
Was it 95? They are 10-7 since then, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're 10-15 all time in bowl games. So they've not done much better since that shaky start. So today we had the bowl press conference with the two head coaches, Shane Beamer, Brett Bielema. Not a whole lot of news coming out of there. Injury-wise, South Carolina's in excellent shape. Brady Hunt will not play. He's not able to go. Beamer confirmed that today. Everybody else that was able to practice in full pads and go through all the preparation, everybody else is ready to go of the players who are here. Only one player for Illinois is in a questionable mode for the game, and that's a linebacker dealing with a shoulder injury. So other than that, they're in good shape. And they only had one player to opt out, and that was a good player, Pat Bryant, their wide receiver. So, and South Carolina, of course, had two of their major players to opt out in Rocket Sanders and Kyle Kennard. So both are missing some key weapons, but both coaches are optimistic that their depth will come through and younger guys will step up and be able to fill the void. So tonight on the program, we're going to hear from the coaches. We got a couple of other Gamecocks waiting in the wings to hear from as well. Also, Zach Willis at 7:35 to break it down from his standpoint, what he expects to see from the two teams tomorrow. And we'll kind of give you our picks for the game. The Gamecocks are roughly, Bergie has gone from 9.5. Oh, let me welcome you back, by the way. You've been gone for a week. Hope you had a nice holiday. You had some play-by-play duties while you were away, so it's good to have you back.
Yes, I appreciate that, and good to be back with you guys, and hope Hanukkah and Christmas and everything went well for everybody. By the way, speaking of Christmas, the Tigers have gotten a present just announced within the last 15 minutes or so. Kate Klubnik tweeting out he will return next season. I don't know how much of a pull towards the NFL that was going to be for Klubnik. Probably a smart decision for him to come back after what I thought was a terrific season for him. So that's big news for the Tigers. You mentioned earlier, though, Phil, I found this fascinating with, speaking of Clemson and juxtaposing with what South Carolina is dealing with. Shane Beamer brought up a really interesting point, and if you have not heard it, it's up on our website, and we'll bring some of this to you later on tonight. But I thought he brought up a fascinating point about being in a bowl game. He said, now, first off, obviously both he, Illinois, and everybody else wants to be in the playoff. But as he pointed out, let's take Clemson, for instance. They never got a bowl experience. I mean, they flew out to Texas Thursday, Friday, or whatever, played the game on Saturday, lost, and came home. from Beamer's perspective, if you're trying to sort of create a postseason bowl experience, South Carolina by far has had the better one of that. Now, I don't think anybody would trade going to what, in my opinion, probably is the best bowl game outside of the playoffs for a spot in the playoffs. But I thought his point was well made, that from Clemson's perspective, I'm not so sure their season ended quite the way, obviously, that they wanted with the loss to Texas, but it was just like another road game for them. It was not a typical postseason experience, I don't think.
I agree. I mean, but that's how it's designed, and there's no other way around it. Now, even these second-round playoff games have a little bit more of a bowl setting for the teams, but I don't know that they're going through all the festivities that you normally would go through with a bowl game, like visiting with kids or visiting hospitals. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but the playoff teams, it's really business trips for those teams, you know.
Well, now I'll ask you, let's take Georgia, for instance. They're in the Peach Bowl. If they win that game, are they going to celebrate winning a bowl game, or are they going to celebrate winning the quarterfinals and advancing to the semifinals of the college football playoff?
No, I think they celebrate winning the playoff game.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
It's not a bowl. When you get to that, it's not a bowl, and it shouldn't be a bowl.
Agree.
I mean, you're in the playoffs. You're in a separate. You're in different air than everybody else. You're breathing different air than the rest of college football. The other guys are, they're having fun. And they want to win their Well, Miami didn't want to win their football game. Outside of Miami, everybody else wants to win their football game, wants to win their – I got to get it off my chest because I know –
in fairness, there were probably 60 guys on the Miami team that wanted to win the football game. There was just one selfish guy who didn't.
I got to be honest with you. I got to be totally honest with you. And look, I'm not trying to in any way make this more than it is. It's not going to hurt Cam Ward's NFL draft position. He's still going to be one of the first players taken. NFL executives don't give a rat's rear end about bowl games and really, unless you get hurt or something, or unless you do something illegal, they don't care about whether or not you played, didn't play, whatever. They don't care. They want to see you in the combine or they want to meet you one-on-one, and they'll make their decision. And I don't have a dog in the fight either. Really didn't care about who won the game. But I don't know that I have been so internally mad at something I didn't care about than that moment, than that game. If you see what I'm saying. That thing
I do
bothered me. I think it bothered me because, here's a coach making millions of dollars, and here's a quarterback making millions of dollars through the NIL deal that he has with Miami. And you got fans from Miami who spent their hard-earned dollars to come down and watch that game, have spent their money all season long. You got TV viewers tuning in to support the bowl game and to support college football who want to see at least the best guys who are dressed play, if they're not hurt, play an entire game. And you pull that. You pull that. That is, what is Dan Radakovich thinking? What is the entire administration at Miami thinking? This, I think, kind of goes back to something I said last week. I said a lot of things last week. You weren't here to dispute or agree. But I said last week, I think, college athletics have now shifted further away from college administration than ever before. There was a time there they were far away. They were kind of off doing their own thing. Then the NCAA, they kind of brought it back together under, they made, back when they had dorms only for the athletes and cafeterias only. Yeah. And so the NCAA made them, no, you got to come back to campus. You got to kind of mingle with everybody else. You can't be. Now, I think it's gone really so far the other way. It's sort of it's like when the Cleveland Browns go to Berea, Ohio for preseason camp. They've just gone off on their own. I think that's where college sports is now. I think they're just moving further away from the university president, administration, board of trustees, doing their own thing. They're sitting over there, okay, go make us the money. Go make us the money. We'll just sit over here and we'll build new garages and we'll raise tuition on the students and things like that. And we'll bring in more students who shouldn't be in college, but we're going to bring them in anyway because they can get student loans and we can charge them $60,000 a year. That's what I'm seeing. And so where is the outrage from Miami, from Dan Radakovich, from the Miami fans? I'm sure some were outraged. Of course, the excuse is, well, it's just a bowl game. Who cares? Well, then why play the bowl game?
Don't play. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We all know why he was playing the bowl game. Phil, he wanted to set the NCAA record.
Yeah,
and as soon as he did that, he was going to sit down because he's a selfish player. I've been trying to figure out the last 48 hours if I can think of anything more selfish that I've ever seen in college sports than what Cam Ward pulled, and I can't come up with one.
It's and he has a co-conspirator. He has a co-conspirator in his head coach.
There you go. And I'm not sure which is worse. If Mario Cristobal knew that that's what he was going to do and he still let him go through with that, the guy is totally lost his team. I mean, aside from that, they had players fighting on the sidelines with one another during the game. But, I mean, if he knew that was going to be the plan and he okayed it, if I'm Dan Radakovich, I'm furious. And if I'm a Miami fan, I'm suing them for fraud. Because I bought tickets. I spent, as you pointed out, if I'm from South Florida, I can't drive up and drive back the same day to Orlando. I've got to spend the night, maybe 2 nights. I'm going to take the kids to Disney World. I have to. I'm in Orlando. I probably spent $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 expecting to see my team, my whole team play. I knew going in that Cam Ward was going to play. That's why I came to the game. And then you're going to sit down with your team in front and watch them lose standing on the sidelines. It's the most ridiculous and selfish act I have ever seen. And I can hardly wait for an hour from now when Zach Willis gets on here because we need to just ask him that question and shut our mics off because he may be able to go 30 minutes on that alone.
He'll take over the rest of the show. I was so I was so incensed when I was watching that. I really I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm thinking, what are you doing? This is not only an embarrassment to Miami, it's an embarrassment for all of college sports, which further, in college football, which further embarrassed itself throughout the weekend. Let's see, you had a brawl between NC State and East Carolina where a referee got bloodied, right? You had, what game was it? You had a game, there's video of it. An Arkansas player stomps on the foot leg of an opponent who's on the ground in a pile, and he just stomps on his leg, and, of course, it hurts him. You know, he got to put his cleats right into his calf muscle, it looked like. Just stomped on him. Just 2 examples along with this. 3 examples right there. Isn't that enough? 1 example is enough. Nothing matches the thing that Miami pulled off. I mean, nothing. That's just flat throwing a football game, if you ask me. You can't tell. You know, the backup quarterback is not a great player. You know, he's a
right.
There's a reason he's the backup. If they think he's the future, they better go back into the portal, John, and find themselves another stud quarterback like they did with Cam Ward. This guy's he's not very good, at least not at this point. So yeah, that was just very disconcerting to say the least. I still can't shake it, and I find it interesting for me personally because I didn't have any sort of interest in the game from a media standpoint, or definitely not from a fan standpoint, but even from a media standpoint, just watching it as an observer, and that just got under my skin so bad. I couldn't shake it the entire weekend. I couldn't wait to get back on the air and talk about
exactly.
it.
I mean, it is such a selfish move. I mean, and we hear from coaches all the time in football. Zach Willis has probably told us this. The game is the ultimate team game. Yeah, right. Tell Cam Ward that. And you wonder why his men's basketball coach, Jim Larinaga, announced last week he's fed up with it. He can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, but you know what?
You think this is a reason?
Yeah, but, listen, I admire Jim Larinaga. He was a great coach. He took two different teams to the Final Four, but you can't stand up and blame the system that allowed you to get to the Final Four with Miami because they paid a point guard to transfer from Kansas State, who was the best player on their team that took him to the Final Four. They paid him $850,000. What was his name? Nigel something.
Yep.
Yeah, remember that? So
Nigel Pack.
Nigel Pack, yeah.
I think.
They paid him. That company, Life Wallet, the big booster. Remember, that was a big story. He was one of the first to really cash in the transfer NIL deal, and it was $850,000. And Larinaga didn't mind it then, but now that everybody, he said, I've lost 8 players, and they've got a losing record. Clemson beat them down there. So, I mean, I feel bad for him. I understand how he feels, but hey, man, don't complain about a system that helped you get to the Final Four, and then now that things are going crummy, and you're getting bitten on the rear end, you want to complain about the system. That don't fly with me. None of that flies with me. Miami can go to hell as far as I'm concerned, the entire athletic department, and take Dan Radakovich with you, because I mean, we know Dan well, but he's got to stand up and say something. I mean, it's crickets. It's crickets coming out of Miami over this thing. There's nobody in their administration not care about the look, and the underlying meaning of what they did. And I don't think we're making too much of it. And I don't think any other talking heads who've been talking about it since then are making too much of it. We should all be making a bunch of noise about that, All right, we got to run to the break.
Okay, real quickly. Somebody needs to get a hold of Robert Griffith III. And for him to come out and say we can't criticize these student athletes, I mean, come on, RG3. You may have been a student athlete. You're a very intelligent guy. You're too smart to make a comment like that. That had nothing to do with academics. That had everything to do with him being paid and trying to get a record. Yeah, he can be criticized for it because he's a pro athlete. Let's lay our cards on the table. Let's have some transparency. He's a pro professional athlete, and he quit on his team. Bottom line.
I didn't hear any of the announcers on ESPN for that game say anything critical about him standing on the sideline. They showed him smiling. We'll be back.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your rec case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday. That's my fun day.
All right, back we are on Sports Talk. Josh Cohen at our studios in downtown Columbia. Bergey's at the Bergey Palace. I'm in Orlando. Boy, I have driven a ton since I've gotten down here. Nothing is really close by. No. Like everything is spread out. The Gamecocks are way over here. Illinois is way over there. They're practicing at UCF, and the Gamecocks are practicing at Celebration High School, which is all the way out. I asked somebody, I said, Celebration is a town. It's a town.
Isn't that where Disney is?
Yeah, and I was told it was a town that was built for Disney employees.
How about that?
Yeah, in management, employees, and all that. So they're practicing at, or they were practicing at Celebration High School, which is all the way west towards Tampa. UCF is east towards Daytona. So been running all over the place, but they got great highways out here, I tell you. I hate to see the bill I'm going to get from the Florida Department of Transportation when they add up all the tolls I've run through.
Should have bought a Sun Pass while you were there.
Well, they should tell you that before you come down here. Are you familiar with that?
Not that, because I don't drive in Orlando all that often. My wife, growing up in that area, she avoids I-4 like the plague. I did run into that when I was up in Pittsburgh covering the Gamecocks in the NCAA tournament. I actually drove back from Pittsburgh and going through West Virginia. I'm pretty convinced that pretty much every road in the state of West Virginia is a toll road, and they don't accept cash, nor did they have anybody at the toll booths. So I just
what do you do?
Had to run through them. You just drive through them, and I got a bill in the mail.
Yeah. Now I learned there's two different things. There's the Sun Pass, and there's the Easy Pass. Now, I can't explain why there are two. Easy Pass lets you go through, and it says they will bill you by your plate. Right? That's what it says. It says on the sign.
Right.
But Sun Pass apparently not. But I went through Sun Pass a couple of times, not really knowing what to do. So I don't know. If there's a sign that says you can get fined like $100 for shooting through Sun Pass without the proper credentials. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I hope the state of Florida will have pity on me and not do that, considering the amount of money that we have spent here since we've been here. So anyway, coming up after the break, if you'd like to join us, our phone number is 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you to reach us here on the eve of South Carolina and Illinois. Our Sports Talk text line number. You can shoot us a text, and that's 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. We'll hear from the coaches coming up and more. And, of course, Zach Willis at 7:30. We'll have recruiting for you as well. Clemson's been busy today announcing the signing of NIL deals with players through their 110 Society. Of course, South Carolina's been doing that for a while with their Garnet Trust. And so Clemson now trying to catch up. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the Clemson situation as Larry Williams and Will Vandervoort, Vandervoort from the Clemson Insider, Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated. Larry's still been writing up through today that in all likelihood, nothing's definite until you hear something from Dabo Swinney, but they're still laying the groundwork for changes, perhaps major changes, with the Clemson defense. Does that mean a change in defensive coordinator? They backed up a little bit on that today, but they still believe changes are coming to the Clemson defensive staff in some fashion.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Some clouds roll in overnight with a low temperature of 44. Tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds. We do have a 30% chance of a shower to go with a high temperature of 69 for New Year's Eve. For New Year's Day, it's Wednesday. It's a bright, sunshine-filled day to go along with a high temperature of 60. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at hdjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at hdjcattle.co. Again, hdjcattle.co, where ethics meets quality.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Tributes to former President Jimmy Carter are pouring in from his small hometown of Plains, Georgia, and around the world. In Plains, black ribbons are hung alongside U.S. flags as residents mourn the 39th president who died Sunday at the age of 100. They're remembering Carter as Mr. Jimmy, the approachable neighbor who is friendly and approachable. A U.S. official says arrests for illegally crossing the border from Mexico in December are little changed from a month earlier. They're hovering near their lowest level since July 2020, indicating an anticipated surge ahead of Donald Trump's inauguration as president hasn't happened. There were about 44,000 arrests during December as of Monday morning. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 418 points. This is SRN News.
The new administration has...
Hi, this is Chris Neely, Superintendent of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. I hope you'll join Kevin and me each Tuesday afternoon. We'll bring you Kids First, where we talk about educational issues and what we're doing to teach kids the right way. It's Kids First, Tuesday at 5:30 right here on 100.7 The Point.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
As you welcome the new year, we invite you to celebrate with Palmetto State Armory, your go-to destination for all your firearm and outdoor needs. Whether you're a seasoned shooter or just starting out, we've got you covered from handguns and rifles, ammo and optics, and more. We offer a vast selection of top-quality products at unbeatable prices, and our knowledgeable staff are always ready to assist you in finding everything you need. Visit Palmetto State Armory today, either in-store or online, and let us help you make this new year one to remember. Happy New Year from all of us at Palmetto State Armory.
Excuse me, would you like some expert advice on how to reduce your energy usage and save money?
Absolutely.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers its residential electric customers a free home energy checkup?
Really? What's included?
A customized energy report and free installation of energy-saving products for eligible customers.
Does it take long?
An hour or two at most.
So, how do I sign up?
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com. Here I come. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Join us here Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on The Point for the Pastor's Pulpit with Steve Williamson. That's 9 a.m. Sunday mornings here on 100.7 FM The Point for the Pastor's Pulpit.
Sports talk every weeknight from 6 to 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
Well, we sure can't live without it. Sports Talk Media Network. And if we're going to lose you between now and, what's today? Wednesday, Happy New Year to everybody going into 2025. Reminder, we will be on tomorrow night. The game will still be going on. Chris and Josh and Smitty, if Smitty's feeling better, a little under the weather. I think Smitty might have picked up a case of that bird flu from Texas because, I think the bird flu affects cattle. He was around the Longhorns, cattle. He might have picked something up while he's out in Austin a couple of weeks ago.
Everything is bigger than in Texas, and that includes illness. So,
yes,
we're hoping Smitty will be with us. If not, Josh and I have a good time kicking it around, watch the tail end of the game, and check in with you if we can before you have to go get post-game reaction. And then we'll have Zach Willis back with us again tomorrow night, too, to get his immediate reaction to what we saw.
Yep. Let me mention a couple of things before we hear from the coaches. First of all, of course, we are here in Florida, but we're in Orlando, which is, of course, inland, about 45, 50 miles from Daytona, the nearest beach. So that means, you know what, you can't go to the beach if you're in Orlando, but you can go to the beach if you're in South Carolina. Of course, you can go to the beach while you're in Florida, but our beaches are better. Give me the beaches of South Carolina. And you know what? Florida does not have a Jimmy Smith to take you through the process of finding a great place to stay at their beaches, because there's only one Jimmy Smith, and he is in Litchfield, Pawleys Island, at James Smith Real Estate. 843-237-4246, 843-237-4246. Give Jimmy a call. Let him and the staff set you up for your perfect beach getaway online at PawleysVacationRentals.com. Also, our new poll question of the week came out this morning. I know you were anticipating that. New poll question of the week brought to you by Larry Lucas State Farm Insurance. Call Larry at 803-799-1998. All your insurance questions and needs can be answered by Larry or one of his great staff members. 803-799-1998. How should Ray Tanner's time as AD with the Gamecocks athletics program be judged? The football game's his last official event as AD. He transitions into a role as an advisor to the El Presidente of USC as of January 1. So how should Ray Tanner's time as AD of the athletics program at USC be judged? A, he left it in better shape. B, he kept the status quo. Or C, he left it in poorer shape. What do you say?
First off, who's voting it's in poorer shape than when he took over? I may be able to buy kept the status quo. I have a hard time with that. I think he certainly left it in better shape than when he took over, but left it in poorer shape? Are you basing all of that, if that's where you voted, solely on the Will Muschamp hire? If that's
Probably
the case,
so. Probably so.
All right, I get that. He made a mistake. I think he's fixed that problem, though. I don't think anybody would argue that Shane Beamer isn't the guy at South Carolina now, but good grief. I mean, if that's the only reason you're going to hate and dislike the job that Ray Tanner did, then I don't know what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, look at the success the athletics department has had. Again, everybody looks at with the lens of it's only football, and I get it. It's an SEC program, and we've gone round and round with this. But an AD's job is to make sure all the athletic programs are successful, not just one.
I concur. I think he took it up a notch from where he inherited from Eric Hyman, maybe even a couple of notches. 77.8% of the votes say yes, he is leaving it in better shape. 16.7% said yes, he's keeping the status quo. So really, it's 93% that are pretty positive about what you did during your time as the AD at South Carolina. 5.6% say he's leaving it in poorer shape, which I don't think is the case at all. A couple of other notes. How about this? Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports reporting, 6 former Florida State basketball players are suing Coach Leonard Hamilton over $1.5 million in unpaid NIL cash. They say he promised them. The complaint details a team-wide boycott of a practice last season over the payments. How about that?
Yeah, but NIL is going to fix everything. You know, pay for play is going to be a wonderful thing. There'll be no problems, Phil, when this gets worked out. I mean, the kids deserve all this money they're getting.
Yeah. Meantime, Jim Mora, he posted on X. You don't tweet, you post. He posted on X the following. These are his words. Now, you know, he just won a bowl game. He just beat North Carolina. Just did an excellent job at a place nobody even thinks about for football, and that's Connecticut. And he writes, quote, a simple note to the schools and coaches that have blatantly broken NCAA football rules by tampering with our players in the last 24 hours. We do know who you are. We will pursue all avenues to hold you accountable. We are excited that we've built a program where coaches have to cheat to beat us, and we will protect that program. Think hard before you tamper with our players. Then he puts the hashtag just getting started.
You know, I'm not a big resolutions guy, Phil, but I do have one hope for 2025, and that is that we will have coaches be much more transparent, and we will also have coaches at the Power 4 level that will stand up and actually say something that's not controversial, just spot on. You're going to hear from Brent Bielema and Shane Beamer here in just a little while, and they go to the standard, well, it is what it is, but we're adjusting. No, you don't like it. Somebody stand up and actually say something about the current situation of college athletics. You're the guys that are going to be able to fix this problem. And Jim Mora, if you know schools that are tampering with your players, why not come out and say it? Hey, I did not appreciate Steve Sarkisian coming in to try and steal one of our best wide receivers. I mean, call them out. You want to get this stopped, call them out. But they're also paranoid that if they say something, it might come back to bite them in the backside, that they won't say anything of merit. That's my hope for 2025. I want to see some coaches, and Tim Beck, God bless him, he's one that's trying to comment on the certain situations involved in college athletics. He's in a mess at Coastal, as all G5 programs are, but nobody's going to listen to them, unfortunately. It's guys like Kirby Smart. It's guys like Dabo Sweeney. It's those type power brokers that can actually affect change if they'll actually just say something and not be as vanilla at the press conferences we heard today on some pretty good questions, I thought, thrown at those two coaches.
Get your ducks in a row, have your facts together, have your evidence in hand, because you can't go public and make an accusation unless you have the hard facts and the hard evidence. You better have the phone records or the text messages or whatever kind of evidence you can get your hands on before you accuse. Now, if you've got that, you can, and you're big enough and bad enough to stand out there and accuse, do it. Do it. Bring them down. Bring them down. And start with Miami and bring them down. I'll never get over Miami doing that. Let's see, a couple of other things. We touched on Clemson. Cade Klubnik signed his NIL deal, made it official with Clemson, the 110 Society announcing that today. Also, Wade Woodaz has done the same thing at Clemson. In fact, there was a bevy of announcements today. Sammy Brown, Olson, Pat Henry, those were all announced by the 110 Society. The Garnet Trust announced NIL deal with Gerald Kilgore at South Carolina. NC State has fired their offensive coordinator, Robert Anay, and they will elevate former Gamecock offensive coordinator Kurt Roper as the new play caller. He had been the quarterback's coach. Gavin Locklear will also take over as a new tight ends coach. They'll pay a $900,000 buyout to Anay, who was, of course, he was at Virginia when Lenora Sellers committed to Virginia. Then he left and went to Syracuse, and Sellers switched his commitment to Syracuse. He really liked this guy. And then he ends up at NC State, and, of course, Sellers goes to South Carolina. So, and Kurt Roper, if he does for NC State what he did for the Gamecock offense, look out. Yeah. He won't be there very long either, to put it mildly. Of course, he had issues with quarterbacks. But he also wasn't a very good offensive coordinator when he was at Florida. So I don't know what his track record says to Dave Doran to lead him to believe he's going to be a great offensive coordinator. Of course, great quarterbacks, receivers, running backs make for a great offensive coordinator.
It's the same mindset and same game plan that tells the New York Jets that Rex Ryan is a good fit for them again, and Ron Rivera should also be a good fit for them. Just rehashing coach after coach after coach.
Yeah.
I think I will say he's going to interview with it, John.
I would not. I wouldn't. I'm not a Jets fan, but I could see both of those guys. Look, both of them have had their moments as an NFL coach. I mean, Rivera got the Panthers to a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was a really good coach with the Panthers and a little bit with Washington. But again, there aren't enough good young coaches out there in the NFL in particular, or college coaches that wouldn't like to get away from pay for play in the NIL situation and the transfer portal, that they wouldn't like to have a shot at the National Football League. You have to rehash guys who have been on television the past several years, and that makes Rex Ryan better than he was the first go around with the Jets. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Also, Louisville tight end Jaleel Skinner, who prepped at Greer before transferring to IMG Academy, took his name out of the portal, John. He is staying at Louisville. South Carolina women, number 2 again in the AP Women's Top 25. USC men playing tonight at home against Presbyterian, tipping off in just a few minutes. Okay, after the break, we'll bring you some of the comments from the coaches who met with the media 8:30 this morning. That's right, up and at 'em early this morning, getting after it. Early bird getting the worm this morning, as we heard from Shane Beamer and Brett Bielema. Bielema's a big guy. He really, when he stood next.
He's proof positive that coaching ages you. That guy's the same age as me. Go look up a picture of Brett Bielema today, and hopefully I look a bit younger. Good grief. I thought he was in his 60s. That really did.
All right, we'll be back with the coaches right after the break here on Sports Talk.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's the fall in South Carolina. That means it's deer season. What do people need to know about?
That's right, Phil. It is deer season. We always want to remind hunters to identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting. Make sure that it's a deer before you take that shot. When walking to and from your stand in low light, use a flashlight so that no one will mistake you for a deer. For more information on hunting safety and more information on deer season, listen to our show on Wednesday nights on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network. Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
George Bryan for Tsunami Bar Sports, our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf that natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition points. This is what we call reversal forces, and the Tsunami bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
All right, head coaches Shane Beamer, Brett Bielema met with the media today. Both gave opening comments. Happy to be there. Love the bowl. They do a great job. Love Orlando. Great to give back. Bowl games are important. Want to win, etc. Then we got the questions from the media. So here we go. Both coaches taking questions from the media this morning.
Good morning, Coach. Just got one for each of you. Coach Shane, we'll start with you. I know that it's always popular for fans and we media folk to talk about offensive players that are missing the game, but what makes you confident on the defensive side? Going without an Nagurski Award winner, all of that. What makes you confident about the defense going into the upcoming game here, that they'll keep the attack strong there up front?
Yeah, one, the leadership that we returned on this year's team from last year. Certainly we'll miss Kyle when you don't have the SEC Defensive Player of the Year here. That's a loss, but we've got 3 defensive tackles that are still here that have been a part of our program since either 2020 or 2021. We've got 3 linebackers that are older guys. Our secondary, they've played a lot of football together, so we've got a lot of really good players and leadership around them. And then at that position specifically, certainly Kyle and Dylan Stewart are the 2 guys that people talk about the most, but we've typically rotated 6 guys every game at that defensive end position, and guys that have played a lot of football as well. So it'll be a great opportunity for those other guys to step up, and certainly with those defensive tackles on the inside, that's the meat of your defense, if you will, and those guys are still here as well. So everyone's got to be better. That's a big loss not having Kyle, but our guys are excited for the challenge, and then it'll be a challenge going up against one of the better offensive lines we've seen, an offensive tackle that's as good as we've seen as well. So it'll be a big challenge for them.
And Coach Brett, first of all, my mom's from Decatur, Illinois, so
Excellent.
this is the most excited she's been about any of these bowl games I've covered. So there you go with that. But let me go to you. How much of an opportunity is this for Zachary Franklin to step up and show off his skills a little bit?
Zachari's been a guy that's been with us all year, but obviously, when Pat made the decision to pop out from this game, Zachary knew his role was going to be increased. But really excited about Malik Elzy, Kapka Jones, Hank Beatty, just a slew of guys that'll hop into the wide receiver position. Echoing Coach's thoughts, I was not disappointed to see the SEC Player of the Year not be here. But I think it's about the guys that want to be here and are in it, right? And I think these are opportunities. I've watched this, witnessed this. I've been 17 bowl games that, guys that kind of take these last 3 or 4 weeks that are stepping into new roles. So this culmination of the year will obviously be tomorrow, but it's really the stepping stone into next year, right? And I think a lot of our guys believe that, feel that, see that, and that's what we've been kind of preaching to them. So very excited about those guys.
This is for both of you. Shane, you even mentioned you both want to be here. This is a really important game for both of you. So start with you, Brett. What can bowl games mean in the college football playoff era for programs like you guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. Bowl games have evolved so much. Commonly during my recruiting pitches, when we have kids on campus, I show them the 1990 Rose Bowl that I was a part of as a player, right? And that Rose Bowl ring, when I bring kids on campus, sits right next to a Super Bowl ring, right? And I think that Rose Bowl ring was $150 by NCAA rules back then, and it sits next to a Super Bowl ring that was $88,000, 20 fake diamonds versus 218 real diamonds. And I always say to people, right, those are 2 cool rings, and a lot of people would say the Super Bowl ring has more value. But both of those rings mean everything to me, right? Because it represents a year, and I think that's what it gets down to. We're not paying any kid any amount of dollars to play in this game, right? And I know some teams have done that, and that's perfectly great for them. But our kids want to be here and are a part of it. Also, I found it interesting, right? There's just so much misinformation out there. I was watching a game the other night, and they made a big deal that they insured their players for the bowl game. We insured our players for the whole freaking season, right? Our guys know that we take care of them from before we even started in fall camp to the whole year. We have guys that qualify for insurance, and we paid for them the whole year from Josh and the athletic department to do that. It just tells our kids that we believe in them and we care for them, and I think that's a really big deal. And this last game is an opportunity to show them.
Absolutely. I would echo all that as well. I think it shows that you've got a lot of players on both teams that are very invested in their programs and want what's best for their program. There's a perception out there with other teams that guys play in bowl games because they have to play in a bowl game to pick up a NIL check at the end of it, and that's not accurate with us. In fact, I changed it because I didn't want that. I'm like, if they don't want to be there, let them get the check at the beginning of December and they can go. And our guys want to be here, and I think it's just great that you get an opportunity to come to a great place like Orlando, have a week together. We've talked about it as a team that all year long we've just been creating awesome moments as a team, just like his team has as well. And coming down here for a week in Orlando with your guys, with your teammates and families, it's just an awesome time. And, I said this back in Columbia and probably took some criticism for it. Like I was saying that I didn't want to be in the playoff, but I hate that part of the playoff. If you make the playoff and you lose the first round, your season's over, and it's just an away game. And all you do is if you go play whoever, Penn State, you leave on Friday, you go to State College, PA, you play the game, and you come home. And that's it. And great for them. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have been in the playoff. But the fact that we get to come down here and spend a week in Orlando and that our guys get to go have fun together and create great memories. At dinner last night, someone was asking me, what's your favorite bowl game that you've been to, either as a player or coach, and you just start going back through the years, and there's so many awesome memories from all the different bowl games that I've had a chance to experience, and it's one of the things that makes college football so great, and just hope and pray that as the college football continues to evolve, that bowl games won't be affected in a adverse way.
Preseason rankings being
I guess, very relevant these days with college football playoff. How important is it to maximize what you guys can set yourself up for as far as preseason expectations and that aspect of things?
Yeah, it's important. I hadn't thought about it in regards to rankings next year in regards to this game. To me, it's more about finishing this season the right way and having a chance to win 10 games and send these seniors out the right way. And I alluded to it in that first question that, I think we've got something like the second or third most number of seniors in the country just because we have so many guys that are part of this program that are older guys. So sending them out the right way, but there's no question you want to win your last game to have momentum going in to the off season. They've had great momentum in the month of December coming off a win over Northwestern, and we've had great momentum coming off a win over Clemson. So to be able to sustain that momentum and keep that throughout the off season is very important. But regardless of what happens tomorrow, looking at Brett's roster, he's got a really good team coming back, it looks like, next year. And looking at our roster, we're going to be preseason picked, I would imagine, somewhere fairly high just with who we have coming back and the young men that are coming into the program. So it's two teams, Coach just mentioned it, sustaining it for the long term, and two teams that are built that way for sure, that I think both have really big futures in front of them because of the foundation that's been laid and the progress that's been made.
Shane, with Rocket, foregoing this game and declaring for the NFL draft, how have you seen that running back room come together, and how are they relishing the opportunity to step up and maybe make a statement for 2025?
Yeah, they have. Certainly we'll miss him, but that's another group where it's not a lot of young players. You've got Juju McDowell, who has been a part of our program and making impactful plays since I became the head coach back in 2021. I mean, I go back to the East Carolina game, my second game ever as the head coach, and he had a long kickoff return that essentially won the game for us up in Greenville way back in 2021. So he's an older guy that's played a lot of football. Oscar Attaway is an older guy that's been our number 2 guy throughout the year. So we have experience in that room, but then we also have some really talented young players, and I'm excited, going back to Hale's question, that I'm excited about for 2025 when you talk about Jawarn Howe and Matthew Fuller. Both those guys are going to be really good running backs for us, and tomorrow will be an opportunity for them to get out there and show what they can do as well.
All right, there you go. The head coaches, all of it up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. You can also get it in podcast form, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Your Mama Podcast. Everywhere there's a podcast, Miami Podcast, Cam Ward Podcast, they're all available. Of course, you only get half of it. On the Cam Ward Podcast,
yes,
you only get the first half.
It's 60 minutes long, but we only recorded 30.
Second half is not available. It's resting in the second half. Just an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed for them. It's hurtful to all those fans.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
In my distress, I called upon the Lord. To my God, I cried for help. From his temple, he heard my voice, and my cry to him reached his ears.
The voice of former President Jimmy Carter reading from Psalm 18 in Plains, Georgia in 2015. The former president died yesterday at the age of 100. Carter Center senior advisor Linda Neumann says Jimmy Carter simply wanted to help people.
He focused both on health and peace, and he understood that you need both for society to thrive. And second, he really looked to the people at the end of the road. So we weren't just dealing with presidents and prime ministers, but with those people who were most in need of help. And for him, it was all about human dignity.
Funeral services will be held for the former president in Washington on January 9th. With burial next to his wife Rosalind, who died in 2023 in Plains, Georgia. Finland has found anchor marks on the Baltic seabed following cable damage on Christmas Day.
The S-Link 2 power cable, which transmits energy from Finland to Estonia, went down on December 25 after a rupture. It had little impact on services, but followed earlier damage to 2 data cables and the Nord Stream gas pipelines, both of which have been termed sabotage. Finnish police investigator Sami Pela says his team has a preliminary understanding of how the anchor mark was created there, but he stressed the question of intent will be clarified as the investigation progresses. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A U.S. official says arrests for illegally crossing the border from Mexico in December are little changed from a month earlier. They're hovering near the lowest level since July of 2020. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 418 points. The Nasdaq dropped 235. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
The investigation into the cause of Sunday's plane crash in South Korea continues as officials examine the debris at the scene. BBC correspondent Rupert Wingfield Hayes reports a bird strike as one cause being considered.
A bird strike is when a plane flies through a flock of birds and some of the birds get ingested into the engines, and they can then cause the engines to stall or indeed to flame out, to lose power. That can cause a very dangerous situation, but it doesn't normally end up in this sort of crash. So it's apparent that there are more factors involved here. Why did the plane land without deploying its landing gear? Why was it a belly landing? Why was it landing so fast?
South Korea's acting President Choi Song-mok has declared 7 days of national mourning. Authorities plan to investigate along with U.S. aviation giant Boeing, which produced the aircraft involved. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Some clouds roll in overnight with a low temperature of 44. Tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds. We do have a 30% chance of a shower to go with a high temperature of 69 for New Year's Eve. For New Year's Day, it's Wednesday. It's a bright, sunshine-filled day to go along with a high temperature of 60. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Talk. It is the Sports Talk Media Network here on December 30th, 2024. 2025, right around the corner. We're glad you're with us. If you want to jump on board quickly, phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We're going to hear from the North Sellers coming up in just a moment. So, Gamecocks and Illinois. Gamecocks are about 10-point favorites. Chris, I think they're going to win. We talked about this. You weren't here Friday night. We did our picks. So, by the way, congratulations to Governor Hodges. He emailed me over the weekend to remind me that he had clinched yet another Corn Cup. So the Corn Cup once again resides in the mansion not the governor's mansion, but the former governor's mansion. So congratulations. I can't even keep up with how many corn cups he's got now.
I bet he knows.
He does. It's probably in the 20s, you know. It's probably in the 20s. Attorney General Attorney General Wilson did a heck of a job, put up a great fight. I haven't actually graded the papers yet. I got to do that maybe tonight for the official tally, but he informed me that he had clinched. He keeps up with that stuff. He's marking every one of them.
That's why I said, I guarantee he knows how many of those corn cups he's got at home.
Mm-hmm, he does indeed. So as far as this one is concerned, South Carolina, Illinois, the thing from a South Carolina standpoint, a couple of things that concern me for South Carolina would be not having Rocket Sanders, you know, Captain Obvious, not having Rocket Sanders. Who's going to be that guy? I mean, Rocket Sanders is a cut above. He's not just your average running back. Everybody else in there is just, you know, a guy. This is a special guy. Not saying the other guys can't get it done. Maybe they will. But this was a special guy who knows how to run the football, who knows how to be patient, who knows how to let his blocks form in front of him and then cut. He just had that vision and that burst. The other guys don't have that. Attaway runs really hard and he's got good speed. And I think if there's a hole or a crease, he can hit it and do something with it. The other guys we really don't know that much about, besides Juju McDowell, but I don't expect Juju McDowell to all of a sudden step up and be the guy. I expect it to be Attaway. So I wonder how much that impacts South Carolina. And there's the great unknown of Mike Shula calling the offense from the sideline. He's not going to be upstairs. He's going to call the plays and work from the sideline, which puts him one-on-one with Lenore Sellers. And, of course, he'll have guys in his headset telling him about things on the field. I mean, that offensive coordinators do that all the time. That's not that unique. So we'll see how that works out. Defensively, you lose Kyle Kennard. Well, I mean, that's a big loss. Everybody behind him is a notch or two or three below. And you wonder how Illinois will react to that. Will they now just run away from Dylan Stewart all day long? They don't have to fear the guy coming off the other side. Maybe one of the replacements over there will step it up and be just as defensive as Kennard was and present that kind of wall on that side. I don't know. The middle is good. Linebackers are good. Secondary is good. Special teams, man, I was watching Kai Kroger punt the other day. If that guy's not an NFL punter,
yeah, he's amazing.
Then I don't know what. I mean, hang time, beautiful kicks. You need him to kick it end over end. You need him to put it inside the 20, whatever. Somebody's going to get themselves a heck of a punter there. So they're good everywhere. Just those two areas concern me a little bit. You look at Illinois, they lose their big weapon in Pat Bryant, that wide receiver, and that's a big loss. I mean, that was the go-to guy for them. Does their next guy step up? His name is Franklin. Does he step up? Is he going to be the guy who can pick up that slack? The thing you like about Illinois, I mean, they're a typical Bielema football team. Big offensive line. It's a veteran group. They have started, 4 of the 5 have started every game all season. The other one has been in. He's been out a little bit of late. So, they're solid up front. They've got an excellent quarterback in Altmaier who is not flashy. He's just very consistent, and he can run around a little bit. So you got to be concerned about that, though he does like to stay in the pocket and throw the ball. So how much do they miss their outstanding receiver, Brian? How much does that impact Illinois? And then, defensively, they're right there with South Carolina, giving up about 20, 21 points a game. They've been very good. So I don't know that their punter is Australian. His numbers are not as good as Kroger's. He's only about a 41 yards per punt guy. And their field goal kicker he's about like Herrera. I don't think he's anything special. He can make the kicks. I think his misses have been from 50 and beyond. He's been pretty good from inside 50. So I think it's going to be a close ball game. I think it's going to be in the fourth quarter. I certainly would take Illinois and the points. I think it's too many points, 10.5. That's what I did on my picks. I took the points. I'm going to go with South Carolina because why not? They're the team we cover. Why can't we pick South Carolina to win a close one? I'm going to pick the Gamecocks to pull this one out 23-20. I'm going to go with a fourth quarter field goal. Yeah, inside of 40 yards, Herrera. Beamer's going to be facing a fourth and short situation in a tied ball game with about 2.5 minutes to go. He's going to run Herrera out there to kick a field goal. He's going to deliver. And then Eman Worry, in his final play for the Gamecocks, is going to intercept Altmaier to clinch the win and trot off the field and onto the NFL.
Yep. I think, Phil, the only time this game is tied is at kickoff. I think South Carolina is the much better team, and you forgot to hit on the most important aspect of the game is Illinois hasn't seen anything like they're going to get from Lenore Sellers. And I don't know how they handle him. This is a team that ranked 123rd nationally in tackles for loss. Now, they do force turnovers, and Carolina's got to protect the football, but they're not going to get their hands on Lenore Sellers tomorrow. And that will compensate because there's a 600 yards drop-off if you go strictly running backs from Rocket Sanders to Oscar Attaway. And I agree with you. I think that's a bigger loss for Carolina than Kyle Kennard is because I think
boinked.
Sounds like we lost him.
You just got boinked, and you were just getting rolling there, Bergie. Can you reconnect? Has he reconnected? All right, I tell you what, while he reconnects, he's talking about Lenore Sellers, one of his favorite topics. He's talking about Lenore Sellers. Let's go to Lenore Sellers, as after practice yesterday over in Celebration, Florida, in a gaggle format in the gym because it was pouring down rain. You'll probably hear noise in the background. That's rain coming down very hard on the gym roof up there, making that noise. Here is Lenore Sellers as he talked with us yesterday after practice.
Lenore, how excited are you to finally be close to this game and not having to practice for weeks on end?
I'm very excited. I mean, we still got 2 days. Just got walkthroughs tomorrow, then we got the game day, so I'm excited, ready to play.
How do you balance doing all this fun activity, team bonding, meeting and hanging out with the other team, but then getting focused for the game?
It was just something I had to get used to. I was talking to my roommate about it yesterday. I was just like, it's weird. It's kind of laid back, but we're preparing for a game at the same time, so it's just something I had to get used to.
How sharp have you guys looked in practice?
We look pretty good. Still as much as fun and stuff we're having, we're pretty locked in on practice. Still getting good work in, but having fun at the same time.
What kind of do you see from Illinois' defense, just from a matchup standpoint about the game?
Yeah, they mix in a little bit of swipe, a lot of man coverage. They play kind of like an SEC defense. They do a lot. They got a good front seven, so just got to attack what we can.
Lenore's obviously Rocket's not here. It's a pretty big chunk of the offense. How comfortable do you feel in the running game and the guys that will take his place?
I feel really good about it. It's really comes down to the offensive line, me, the wide receivers blocking and stuff. As long as we do our jobs, we'll be all right.
Has it been maybe a conversation that they'll ask you to run a little bit more than you do, or maybe they give things away?
I'm not really sure. I guess we'll see on Tuesday.
When you look back on this season, is there a play that you're like, man, I should have had that one? Or
this season?
Yeah.
Had a couple of them, really. Let's see. I don't know off the top of my head. It's a lot.
Anything against Clemson or anything? Or?
We won the game against Clemson, so it's not really nothing there.
Yeah, it's not really,
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I really don't know.
I know Coach Shula said there's still stuff that you can get better at, maybe finding an open receiver instead of taking off the run. Are you trying to work on that stuff before this game, or just keep doing what's been working this season?
This season, I'm just focused on what's working on the season. Then once after the season, after the game Wednesday, we look at the film and just start from there.
What's the relationship been like with Vershawn Lee? Your first college center. What's that been like?
Pretty good. It was smoother than I thought it was going to be, but I knew him from last year. I talked to a lot of the guys last year, so we just built on from last year, and now we're just close.
Lenore's Josh became your top receiver this year from that tight end spot. Just how did that develop? Was it something that you saw in preseason? Just that's how the games went? Just how did that go through at the beginning?
I think it was just a mixture of both. He was a bigger body, experienced guy, so you can go to him. He's been in college games and stuff, but as the season progressed, stuff we just got better and better. So
obviously you've been close with Shula for a while now, but what's it like seeing him start to transition into an offensive coordinator role rather than just your quarterback's coach?
I mean, he's been there, been OC before, so it's not really like a big change for him. But I mean, he's just growing into it, just getting more comfortable with everybody and stuff like that. So.
And Chula was saying that he's going to be calling plays from the field. When's the last time, if ever, that you've had an offensive coordinator on the field with you during a game?
High school was the last time. So.
Does it feel like a big change at all since starting, or not really?
Maybe for them. For me, it's not like, I mean, I can just talk to him to see what he's thinking, like more. But other than that, like, same thing.
Before you signed your NIL agreement, there was reporting that a lot of schools had tried to recruit you away. Did you actually have direct contact from other schools, or did anybody actually get to you?
No, I didn't. No.
Just to your people?
I mean, not really like one-on-one, like talking like that, but other than that, just like rumors and all that.
The guys are going to be playing their last game for South Carolina. Do they give any indication about just how special this is and how much they really want to go out with a win?
Yeah, a lot of people care. Like, we hear it around the hotel at the fun events, like, man, it's my last one, man, it's my last one. I want to go out with a win. I want to go out with a win. I want to get double-digit wins for the season for the first time in forever. So, I mean, it's special to everybody. We're just taking it as that.
Lenores, the Illinois defensive backs, earlier on in the season, they were really good at forcing takeaways. Not so much the second half of the season, but still a talented group. What's your assessment of the challenge of facing that defensive back group?
Really just take what they give us. Don't try to force anything. They try to, like, play games, disguise stuff real good, so it's just take what's there and not really get fooled by it.
With looking ahead to next year, what about this team moving forward do you like with the future and just where things are headed with the program?
Really the leadership and the energy, like how we play together, like we come together with team bonding activities and all that. So I feel like the more closer we get, the better we'll play. So we just got to build on that.
How important do you feel like you are to all that? I mean, obviously you're the quarterback, so that's a big deal. But do you think about it like that, or
I don't really think about it like that. I just think about it as like it's our team. Like, we just got to do what we got to do to win. Like, we going out there, we're playing, and like you said, playing quarterback. I got to lead the offense, do what we're supposed to do, but also build up the team around me.
And then obviously you have two more quarterbacks joining your room next year, both guys that I'm sure obviously want to play as much as possible. You know, what do you think of just having those competitors in the room with you?
I mean, it's just like you said, it's competition. So just got to do what I'm supposed to do, focus on me, and just let everything fall within me.
Do you think you'll get sick of Cheez-Its after this?
Probably. A lot of Cheez-Its.
How did it come about, the billboard thing, if you want that thing?
It was their idea. They just came, they talked, then it was like, hey, we want to do this Cheez-It thing. It's something we do for the Cheez-It, the Citrus Bowl and all. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then they came out here with a truck and everything. So it's exciting.
Like some wish or something?
Yeah, it's like a fantasy thing that they say, and then it's like being on the big screen. So they got the truck, and it'd be like somebody at the Jumbotron at the stadium. So.
Okay. Yeah, they got this mobile sign, this big screen mobile sign in the flatbed of a truck, and it's got Lenore Sellers and Cheez-It and all that kind of stuff on it, you know, promoting him and promoting Cheez-It. Yeah, it's rolling around town. It's like a mobile billboard, but it's featuring him.
Okay.
I don't know if it's featuring anybody from Illinois or not, but we saw it over at USC practice, and yeah, it's got the Cheez-It, it's got the Citrus Bowl, it's got Lenore's. In fact, you know, it's probably featuring, I think the bowl signed Sellers and one of the Illinois players to NIL deals to feature them during the week. So that's probably, you know, part of that deal. I'd imagine. Okay, before we go to the break, Tiger Bryant's been hanging on for a couple of minutes, so let's welcome Tiger Bryant into Sports Talk. Wish him a happy new year. I understand in the Bryant household they start celebrating New Year's about a day or so early, so we might not hear from him tomorrow. Tiger Bryant, welcome in. How are you, and Happy New Year?
Y'all too. We start celebrating right after Christmas. Glad Christmas is over. You know, but
it's one big party for you.
Well, you know, somebody said, you like holidays? I say, every day's a holiday to me. I'm retired. I'll be 8 years next month. You know, you know, gives me these kids that bail out on bowl games. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like you said, Miami. I mean, all of them. And like Sellers. What if he gets hurt? Does he still got $2.5 million next year?
Well, I don't know what his contract actually reads. I imagine everything is guaranteed through an injury. These guys are insured as well against catastrophic injury, against injury that would impact their earnings. They got all kind of stuff. So they're well taken care of, I believe, to my knowledge, from that standpoint. So the idea of not playing in a game to protect yourself, I think, is pretty lame because, I mean, you're not doing – to get ready for the NFL draft, what are you doing over the last 2 weeks to get ready for the NFL draft? You're not doing anything, probably, anything of any note. You got plenty of time to get ready for the NFL draft if you play in a bowl game. And I hope that the colleges will do something about that, and I hope they do it in unison. They got to act together. They got to because if you don't, then one school will use it against you. If you try to put some bite into a contract that says we're going to hold you to the fire, well, your rival's going to say you don't want to sign with them, and they're going to, we won't do that. Well, you come over here, you do whatever you want. And that's.
I want to ask you one more thing, brother.
You can't have it that way. Yeah, go ahead.
Why ain't they? Clemson ain't said nothing about how much they gave Cade or Parker or Woods. And then,
no. I think that they don't have to publicize that stuff right now. They're not publicizing it. I'm sure there's some intrepid reporters out there trying to FOI to get some information, but I don't know. I don't know what's considered public information and what's not. I don't know how you view these payments, Chris. Do you view this? I mean, they're being paid via donations, I guess. But is that viewed as public information because you're playing for a public university? I don't know how you view that from a legal standpoint.
Did they have to pay taxes on that like me and you do?
Of course.
Well,
of course they do. Yeah.
And all that money they get, I mean, like you said, transfer portal John. That run it, and the NIL, if they had topped it up, a limit on it to start off with, maybe. If I was a billionaire, Clemson would, like I told you before, Clemson would win national championship and everything.
You give them all your money.
No, not all my money. I'll give my interest off $1 billion, but. Hey, I enjoyed the show tonight, bro. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
God bless everybody.
Thank you, Tiger Brian. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow. If we don't talk to you, we'll talk to you in the new year. Yeah, it's just head scratching. I don't know, so many issues to resolve. Going back to this Miami thing, I mean, that's just an insult. I think what irritates me the most, Chris, is I'm insulted as a fan, because I'm watching the game from afar. I'm insulted as a fan that the coach and the player think so little of the game and what the fans have to give and the interest that they would do that and basically give up an edge, a competitive edge, to try to win a game. To me, just the whole sportsmanship, the whole sporting side of that game, and don't tell me it's just one guy, doesn't make that big of a difference. The other quarterback is a good quarterback. No, it's a huge drop-off from one to the next, and it makes a huge difference. Even though it was
take Cade Klubnik off of
close ball
Clemson's
game
team
to the
and see
end.
how good.
Yeah.
Take Cade off Clemson's team, see how good the Tigers are.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the same deal with Cam Ward. And the thing that bothered me, too, is where were his teammates, and especially the seniors who have finally run out of eligibility, especially guys who may not ever play college football, play football again. How are they not just hammering this guy on social media, in the locker room, the whole 9 yards? I mean, this guy quit on you. And in
robots.
a game you were leading with him in the game. It's conceivable and understandable to believe you would have won your last football game ever if Cam Ward weren't the most selfish football player on the planet. And yet we hear nothing from anybody. I'm like you, where is Miami on this?
They're robots. I mean, they're all, taught in the locker room, I guess. Don't say a negative word that's going to come back and hurt the program, blah, 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 blah. I think that, but I guess in some cases, they probably feel like, hey, if I'm making that kind of money and I've got that record in my back pocket and I want to protect myself, I might do the same thing, you know. I don't know. I don't know why players don't speak out about it. They're trying to show some kind of silly unity or something. They don't. I mean, it's people like us, and I'm hoping I don't know what's been written on social media. I'm sure there's been some level of outrage. I would hope there in Miami that the talking heads and the columnists who used to have, you know, part of the problem is the columnists who used to wield power in sports and drive opinion, they're all gone for the most part. They're all gone. Today, it's the writers for the websites, some of whom are really independent and have an opinion that they will share, good or bad, many of whom are just embedded inside the programs and won't say a cross thing about a program. Nothing that will hurt because they don't want to hurt their own team, number one. Number two, they'll get cut off by that program if they do. So you just don't have that power broker anymore who could shake up a sports landscape by writing a scathing editorial. I mean, this should be scathing. There should be somebody in the Miami Herald, somebody down there just ripping the rear end out of everybody at Miami, from Radakovich on down. I still can't. I mean, I need to shut up about it. I've been talking about it too much. I need to shut up about it. But it made me so angry as a sports fan for that reason. If he were hurt or sick, certainly understand.
Different story. Exactly.
Or totally if he decided to, during warm-ups, if he came over to his coach and say, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out, coach. Let so-and-so play. But, man, and I don't know what his numbers were. And obviously, he'd had a pretty good first half. I don't recall what they were in the first half. But I lost all respect for that guy. And you know what?
Yeah.
He might become a 10-time NFL MVP. He'll never get my respect back again. He never will. Not that it matters. I'm just a Joe in South Carolina. But he'll never get my respect back again. And he probably could care. He cares less.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't care enough for his team to play, he's certainly not going to care what people say about him outside the locker room.
No. Let's go to Nick and Gaston quickly before we hit the bottom of the hour. We got Zach coming up. We got recruiting coming up. Nick, welcome in. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, man, thanks. I'm glad I got to follow behind Tiger Brian. I'm in Gaston, right next door to Gamecock Larry. RIP, I missed you, buddy. Love everybody. But as far as Shane Beamer, I just wish he could, he as much derision as everybody poured on Dabo when he got hired as being a cheerleader. I love his statement. You know, I'm going to a bowl game. Dabo went to 2 national championships and won them, and that's like saying, I married Miss America, you married a girl too. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Shane. Keep it up, buddy. Cheer, cheer, cheer. Thanks,
thank you very much.
Beamer say that? I don't remember Beamer saying anything close to that.
Oh, he might have at some point. I don't know if he said those exact words. I think he's pointed out that they beat Clemson head-to-head, and Clemson was going to the playoffs, but they still beat Clemson. PC's beating USC 25-18.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Some clouds roll in overnight with a low temperature of 44. Tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds. We do have a 30% chance of a shower to go with a high temperature of 69 for New Year's Eve. For New Year's Day, it's Wednesday. It's a bright, sunshine-filled day to go along with a high temperature of 60. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Israel's military says it intercepted a missile fired toward the country by Yemen's Houthi rebels. The attack set off sirens late Monday in the central areas of Israel, including Tel Aviv. The Houthis have been firing drones and missiles at Israel, as well as attacking shipping in the Red Sea corridor. Attacks, they say, won't stop until Israel agrees to a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The world population increased by more than 71 million people in 2024 and will be 8.9 billion people on New Year's Day. Estimates released by the U.S. Census Bureau on Monday show that the world population increased by almost 0.9% in 2024. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 418 points. The Nasdaq dropped 235. More at srnnews.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
People hear me talking about Broker Solar and how much I like Ken and his team. They ask, hey, can I really trust this guy, Kev? Let me tell you two things. Number one, Ken and Broker Solar are legit. I've known Ken's family for 20 plus years. Seriously, these are local, ethical people. They're not going anywhere and they do things the right way. Number two, Broker Solar is so different than these stereotypes we've heard about in the solar industry. There's no signs on the yard making stupid promises they can't keep. There's no door knockers trying to pressure you at your own door. Ken and Broker Solar will tell you the truth, what it'll cost, and how your solar power investment will pay off. See, we can't pick our power companies. Broker Solar gives you a chance to take some control over your power bill, and I like that, and so should you. Online, it's brokersolar.com, and seriously, reach out to Ken and these folks. It could really make a difference in your quality of life. Brokersolar.com, empowering you so you're not powerless.
This is Fran Halloran, the Money Coach. Grow with the Point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
Customer service. We all talk about how it's gone down the tubes in recent years, but not everywhere. Not with the Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. These are the folks I want you to feel comfy reaching out to for your Medicare and health insurance needs. Tim Hanberry and Medicare Blueprint have joined Hickory Hill Insurance. The result? Even better customer service with a bigger team to help you by utilizing the very best technology in the industry. And you know what else? Just plain old caring about people and treating them like their family. When you call them, you'll get a call back fast. When you need a question answered, they'll take the time to help. This industry's so confusing and so ever-changing. They have a team that knows the best plans for you. They'll ask all the questions, they'll get all the answers, and as always, it won't cost you a penny to get their services. The best way to learn more? Visit the website, partdandme.com. That's partdandme.com, or call the team at Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. They're local, and they're willing to talk one-on-one. Remember, customer service still matters. 708-7398, 708-7398, or online, partdandme.com.
Wake up with a smile every morning. It's Mornings with Casey and Kev, your dynamic duo bringing you laughter, news, and the perfect start to your day. Join the fun weekdays at 7 a.m. Mornings with Casey and Kev, a delightful way to start your day.
We are back on Sports Talk. Yes, Presbyterian is leading South Carolina, 3:36 to play in the half, 28-22. Blue Hose are shooting 52%, 4 of 7 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line. The Gamecocks are shooting 39%, 3 of 6 from 3, 1 of 3 from the line. They've turned it over 7 times. PC's turned that into 12 points.
Yep.
And what else? Points in the paint, pretty even, 12-10 USC. Gamecocks are being led by Nick Pringle with 9 points, 1 rebound. Colin Murray Boyles, only 2 points, 4 rebounds for him. It is for Presbyterian, Corey Mincy having a good night, 12 points 2 of 3 from 3. He's leading the Blue Hose. So 28-22 PC leading South Carolina in Columbia. But you know what? I'm not sure how many Gamecock fans are paying attention because the Gamecocks are in Orlando where we are for the Citrus Bowl tomorrow. Let's break it down with Coach Willis.
Now, First and 10 with Zach Willis on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Mrs. Willis sounding sexier and sexier every Monday night when we play her introduction of Coach Zach Willis. We'll get to Coach after this special moment.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We're playing a 45 on 77? What the heck? Speed it up, Josh.
Happy birthday, Coach. How are you? Welcome in.
I knew
Happy
my
birthday.
wife would give it away. All right, guys, I'm doing fantastic. I'm a birthday boy today, 57 years young. So, hey, it's a good day.
It's great to have
And he looks younger than Brett Bielema.
I could make a comment on that, but I know Brett. He's a good guy. Love him to death.
I was just joking earlier, Coach, about Brett Bielema. He made a comment in his press conference today that he's 54, and that's how old I am. And I looked in the mirror and thought, good grief, man, coaching makes you look old in a hurry. Because I did not realize he was in his 50s.
Brett, it's not the age, it's the mileage. Yeah, he was a hard charging young buck back in our day, and he's a great football coach, and he's a great guy. I love him to death. His big things he always sees, he says, keep it tight, keep it tight. I don't know what it means, but good football coach, no doubt. Good guy.
What do you like about him as a coach? What kind of game plan do you expect him to bring to the table tomorrow?
One thing they're going to do is they're going to hold the living, you know what, out of South Carolina's defensive line. That's just their technique. When we worked against him at those great Wisconsin teams he had with J.J. Watt and everybody else up there, they just had big, nasty guys up front. They're not real fast on the back end. You got to beat them there. And your defensive line has to be, really adept with their hands and not let them get their hands on you, because they are really good at holding and doing it in a way where it's not called a whole lot. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They play the game the way it ought to be played. They're very physical football teams. And Brett's a great guy. I mean, just if you around, if he's at the end of the bar or he's in a McDonald's or you in church, it doesn't matter. He's a guy everybody's going to love. He's just that kind of guy.
You think of Big Ten teams, you think of SEC teams, you think the SEC teams are more athletic, going to have the noticeable edge in the speed department. Will that be the case tomorrow with these two teams?
I've read a lot about Illinois. I have not seen them play a ton, but I would say so. When I was at Michigan State, the big way we beat Wisconsin, where we played them a lot on the back end, and we were able to get behind them. Their linebackers were good run stoppers, but not great against the pass at all. And that's where this game, South Carolina's got to be able to generate some sort of running game without Rocket being in there. They've got it. Of course, with Sellers, he can do that for you, establishing a run game and getting them going. But however it comes, because play action gets opened up by that, and now keep Illinois honest, and I think the points will follow. A lot like the Vanderbilt game. Defensively, they're missing one guy. I think South Carolina's missing one of their better defensive linemen, but heck, they've got 7 more that they can play with. So this team is built really, really well. I think Nick Saban said it best. They were playing the best football in the SEC at the end of the year, and certainly one of the top teams in the country. And if their spirit is what it has been, I don't expect them to lose this ball game. I think what the line's 10 right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not a betting person. I don't trust that stuff. But I will say, if South Carolina establishes a run game and plays with the energy they're capable of playing with on defense, I really like their chances. And that's a wonderful bowl to go to if you can't go to the playoffs. It's got a great consolation there.
Do you think that with Sellers gone and with Sanders gone, and Sanders being such an important part of the running game, when Clemson went to Texas, I thought that they would put a lot more on Klubnik's shoulders because he did not have a good running game with Maffa being hurt and also Haynes being out. So they were really, really hurting their running back, and they did put a whole bunch more on Klubnik, especially in the passing game. Do you think they'll do the same with Sellers? Will they put more on his shoulders, or do you think they trust the other guys enough in the running back room to give them a try to see if they can pick up the slack?
I would definitely, now this is totally speculation because we have not seen enough of the other guys, I don't think, to at least this year because Sanders was so good, especially when he was healthy. When he wasn't healthy early, when they were kind of struggling playing 500 football, their QB Sellers was just developing and kind of coming into his own. So everything kind of came together for them at one time, and they caught fire and went on this huge historic win streak they've had. Historic because of who they beaten during it. But I would honestly think they got a new play caller too in Mike Shula, who's obviously got a ton of experience, and if bloodlines meant anything at all in coaching, I would feel great about that change up. We'll just have to see what he does. Hopefully he's very similar to what Dow Loggins did and learn from how Loggins set things up, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Maybe the best play caller other than Steve Spurrier himself South Carolina's ever have, and I'd say he matches up really well and favorably. Not saying he's better than Coach Spurrier, but he acquitted himself very well. I would definitely try to run the ball with other people. I definitely try to get those run, especially Attaway, who we know will run the ball hard, and they've got a young running back who's a big kid, 225 pounds. Hadn't run it a lot, but this is a great time to get experience too. And if it doesn't work, you go and you spread things out and you let the quarterback operate in that space, throwing and running the ball, because I've seen him play in person, so I can really say this with confidence. He is a difference-making guy. Maybe the biggest difference maker left in college football, and this is why after you saw what happened with some of these other bowls, you see just how good he is. Who he did it to, how bad he made him look when he did it, and he's a huge kid. He's a big boy. So I'm expecting a big game out of him. I just hope the running back room can give him something. No blame going out with Sanders deserting him like that, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah, speaking of that, of course, we talked about it a lot tonight, and I know I can say this for you. I know that it had to make you sick to see what happened in the Miami game with Cam Ward and the quarterback and the head coach agreeing to let that happen. And, I don't know what went on in conversations behind the scenes. Nobody's saying anything. That's the other bad thing about it. They run and hide. Ward did not talk to the media after the game, and his head coach just said, this is behind closed curtains. We discussed this behind the scenes, and it will stay behind closed curtains. And so, as a former coach, as you were, why is there not just like, to me, this is the ultimate insult to your game, to the game of college football, for everything that coaches preach about that you stand for. And it just is a black eye, and anybody associated with the sport should feel insulted by this. Or am I misreading the way coaches feel about things today?
No, that's why I'm not coaching anymore, Phil, to be honest, I just philosophically, there's a few coaches out there, if they had room on their staff, I'd work for, and I won't get into who they are or anything like that, but there's no I in team. No, it's real simple. No, you're 100% right, and, life's lived best when it's lived simply, and you have principles you go by, and you don't ever disrespect the game. That's number one. Number two, you don't disrespect your teammates. You never put yourself ahead of your teammates. You give everything you've got to them. Cam Ward and any other person that's out there that's at a skill position or any position that's doing this opting out stuff, you're quitting on your team. And look, I don't want to hear, they can say whatever they want to, dress it up. And I know all the I hate to put it like this, but the people that are losers out there, and not just losers on the field, but they've probably never even gotten on the field or saying, well, he's got his right. So absolutely, that's what every loser's ever said. Every guy, the Terrell Owens of the world, who have always put themselves ahead of their teammates, he destroyed, 3 franchises that were Super Bowl winning franchises in San Francisco, the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost the Super Bowl, and Don McNabb brought him there and he destroyed him. And then he went on to Dallas and did the same thing again. And Bill Parcells wouldn't even say his name. He's so disgusted by him. Bill Parcells has obviously got the right idea, I believe, about football. Probably knows a little bit about it. He's a forerunner to everything we see today. And with our culture or lack thereof, I'll just be real simple. Quitting, as Bear Bryant put it, and Coach Oates used to tell us, who was a contemporary of Coach Bryant, and Vince Lombardi, quitting is easy. First time you quit, it's kind of tough, no matter what it's in. But as you keep going in life, it gets easier and easier, and you end up like a lot of people quitting on marriages, quitting on relationships, quitting on your kids, quitting jobs. We were making a joke before. I think I locked out because I don't feel like, halfway through the show, what if I just stopped talking? And you guys depend on me to do my job. What if you feel, who have done this for how many years now, just decided one day with all the radio stations that depend on you, the listeners that, listen to you faithfully, kids like me that grew up listening to this show that now get to be a part of it, we all have responsibilities in life. And number one is, men as husbands and fathers, and what I tried to do, and I know Dabo Sweeney does this, I can speak because I've heard, me and him have talked about it years ago, long before he was a head coach, about making an impact on people like Tommy Bowden, Bobby Bowden, those kind of guys have done, and I could go on and on in the past. Art Baker, who's a PC graduate, who said, listen, make better fathers, better husbands, better brothers, better sons. Make these guys into better men. Use football as a medium, not to make money. If you make money, great, but to build men and build character. Take kids, the mamas and daddies come in, and they are the ones you have to convince to trust you to take their son. And Coach Saban last year said Miss Terry told him they were at their house, and if you haven't heard the story, she walked in and looked at him, and they had an official visit going. Parents in the house eating dessert with them. They were visiting with them. And by the way, Coach Saban's one of the best recruiters. Great coach, but even better recruiter. She looked at him and said, what are we doing? And he said, what do you mean? He said, well, used to kids came in here trying to figure out what we would do to develop. The parents want to know about developing the kids, and the kids want to know, how you going to help me be a better player and a better person. So now they want to know how much we're going to pay them. And they decided right on the spot he was done coaching. That was it. And I think when a man like Nick Saban, and I'm talking about the man, not the coach, tough coach, but the kind of coach I believe in, the kind of coach I want to be part of, Mark D'Antonio's the same way. All of a sudden, boom, he's gone. There's a reason behind that, is because we're looking at a landscape right now. I can designate X's and O's for you, but I don't even know if I want my kid playing in college unless he can play for a certain kind of person, because the landscape now is I'm out for me to get mine. Now, everybody's not that way, but people that defend that are just flat wrong. I tell you what, you want your daughter to marry a guy that's going to do that? That's what I'd ask everybody out there who's just going to quit on anything, because last time I checked, college football is a pretty big deal in the SEC. People care about that. People live and die with that. I mean, I wanted to say, too, I heard Gamecock Larry passed last week, and I wanted to send my regards out to his family. It's people like him that make me and you have names and lives that are worth something and have a name. And we have a responsibility to the fans and to society as coaches, as media people, for you to speak up like you're doing. I commend it. It's why I've always loved you, and I mean this sincerely, and I'll call you one of my very best friends, is because of your character and integrity as a man. And the coaches at Latta or wherever you played, hopefully build on that. And of course, your dad and the people that really matter to you. My coaches were like my dad because I didn't have one. And I just wonder what Mario Cristobal, I don't know what kind of bind he got put in. But it was really, I don't want to get emotional about this, but yes, it's tough to watch.
We got to go to the break. I would like to thank a coach worth his salt would rise above and put his foot down and take the L without his, if his quarterback's going, unless he concurred and said, fine by me. I can't believe a coach would agree to that. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but the whole thing is just disgusting as far as I'm concerned. We got to go. Thank you. You're going to be with us tomorrow night to break down the USC and Illinois game. We'll see how that turns out. Look forward to hearing from you tomorrow night, and happy 40th birthday once again.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you. Okay,
Happy
Zach
birthday,
Willis,
Coach.
1st and 10. We'll be back with tonight's recruiting reports right after this break. And Presbyterian leading at the break 32-24 over the Gamecocks at the CLA.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at scEducationLottery.com/betteryou.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
The difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Now we got to get to the recruiting report. This might be the last recruiting report of 2024 of the gazillion we've done. Brought to you by Seawells. Do not go to Seawells this week, correct?
Yeah, they're closed until January 7th. So that's Tuesday, next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
Got to wait until a whole new year.
Yeah,
to get to Seawells.
I was hoping I was going to get to have some Seawells tomorrow, but it won't happen, I guess.
Well, they're on a much
Seawells can be closed
vacation.
until January 7th. Sports Talk should be off until January 7th. And,
we don't
ought to
operate
go
that
hand
way.
in hand.
But
with
when they're
Seawells.
open, make sure you get there for the daily luncheon buffet. And when they're open and you need the best in catering, make sure you call Seawells, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. From the recruiting side of things, Donovan Murph on Thursday, the Irmo receiver, he's in Orlando in the Under Armour game. By the way, did you know they're taking juniors in these All-American games now? They're bringing in juniors, yes. They are bringing in juniors along with the regular seniors. I mean, Murph is a senior now because he reclassified. But even as a junior, he might have been invited now. This is something both All-American games are now doing. There is no shame in anything we do in sports anymore.
Are they afraid the seniors are going to opt out of the All-Star game, so they need a junior to back them up?
Absolutely. That's part of it, yeah. Some of these guys aren't even coming to the national All-American games. And this also allows the companies that put these on, the shoe companies. One is Under Armour, the other is Adidas. Now they've got an early hold on whichever guys they get into their game. I wonder what kind of bidding and money is changing hands to get some of these guys to go to those games. Anyway, he told Chad Simmons of On3, who did an interview with him when he arrived on Sunday, he'll have hats representing USC, Clemson, Colorado, and Ole Miss, or you can just go ahead and throw the Clemson hat off the table because, Paul Strelos, we told you a couple of weeks ago, reported on Tiger Illustrated he was no longer tracking this one because Clemson was no longer in the running for him. It's, by all indications are, it'll be a South Carolina pickup here. And what a pickup it will be. He had 96 catches for 1,328 yards and 12 touchdowns this season. Gamecock Central reported UTSA transfer center C.J. James, 6'3", 310, will visit USC on January 5th. He just visited the beach last week. He's a grad transfer with one season left to play.
And was a road grader down 544 most of the afternoon.
Gamecocks offered Louisiana Tech transfer receiver True Edwards, 6'3", 211. First team all-conference this season, 77 catches, 897 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Spent 2 years in junior college before a year in Hawaii. Former Coastal Carolina defensive lineman Will Whitson's headed to Mississippi State, according to Chris Hummer of 24/7. Former Clemson receiver Troy Stellato plans to visit West Virginia next month, per Pete Nakos. North Augusta offensive tackle Malcolm Gaston going to visit Florida State January 18th. And wide receiver Gordon Sellers of Charlotte, junior day visit to Clemson January 25th. Samari Matthews, the corner from Cornelius, North Carolina, to visit USC January 11th and Clemson February 1st. That'll do it. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you tomorrow night from the ball game here in Orlando.